Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's lecture, we'll be looking at ellipse. We'll be talking about ellipse. If you are a new viewer, make sure you subscribe and then turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss out any episode that will be dropped subsequently. Okay, so yes, let's talk about ellipse. So first of all, you need to know that this is how ellipse looks like. I have the y-axis and then the x-axis. Okay, then there is this ball that look like a circle. So we now have the directrix on this part, and then you have the focus on the x-axis. So this is the directrix. This part is A prime, while this is A. So this is B and this is the B prime. So the prime is just denoting the negative part, and the one without the prime is denoting the positive part. Okay, so this is the line of the directrix. This is the equation on the focus on the parabola. So you have something like this, and then you also have something like this. You can see that so the S and the S prime, they are the focus, and this line, maybe I should label it Fn, and let's say N prime, then F, so F prime. So this is the directrix. So you could see that in ellipse the focus is 2. We have 2 focus. One is positive, the other is negative. And then the directrix is also 2. One is positive, the other is negative. Okay, so we have 2 directrix, we have 2 focus. Now there's some, before we jump into anything, just pay attention to details. Now you see this focus is sitting on the x-axis. Because of that, we say that the A now is called the major axis, and it is 2A, while the y-axis now, where the S is not sitting on, is called the minor axis, which is B prime, which is giving us 2B. Okay, so you should take note that A squared is usually bigger than B squared. This guy is always greater than B squared. And also remember in ellipse that there is what we call the eccentricity. In ellipse, the eccentricity, which is E, it is less than 1. Please take note of that. It is always less than 1. Not negative, but just less than 1. So what else do we need to discuss? Yes, we also need to talk about the vertex. So in this diagram, the vertex is sitting at the origin. Okay, and then the focus is given by plus and minus E, 0. So what this means is we have f of A, E, 0, and we have f of minus A, E, 0. So there are 2 focuses. Okay, so you can see whenever your vertex is at the origin, this is how your focus will look like. It will be plus and minus AE, 0. It can be compacted in this form. Then what about your directrix? So your directrix will also be at the s-axis. You could see is lying on the s-axis. So it will be plus and minus A over E. So this will be your directrix. Okay, so the next thing is now the equation. So the equation of the ellipse is s squared over A squared plus y squared over B squared is equal to 1. So this is the equation of the ellipse, where the B squared is, you get the B squared by using this formula 1 minus E squared. So you know your E squared, you can always get it from the focus, and then your E is the eccentricity. It will also be given, so from there you just get your B. That is the equation. So one other thing is your latus rectum. So your latus rectum is giving us plus or minus b squared 2ab squared over e. So ab squared over e. So that is your latus rectum. What do you mean by latus rectum? It is a straight line that run across the focus and touches the parabola from one end to the other end. So it is 2 times that. So what other thing do I need to add? Sometimes the A could shift to this part. Sorry, B, then B prime, A, then A prime. So the A could shift to the y-axis. So your directrix will lie on this part. Your focus will also lie on that part. This will be your points. So to go like this. So that is it. Now you could see in this case what matter is your major axis is now lying on the y-axis. Okay, your major axis is still 2a, minor axis is still 2b, but in this case it lie on the y-axis, this one lie on the x-axis. So what implication does it have in what we've talked about? So your formula we changed. Your s will now be b squared and your y will now be a squared. Then your focus too will shift to the y-axis. It's the same thing you did before, but everything is now on the y-axis. And also your directrix will shift to the y-axis, now be plus or minus a over e. So this is just the implication of that. So whenever you see, and I told us that the a squared is always bigger than the b squared. So whenever you see the bigger number on the y, so this is what it means. It means that the focus has shifted to the y-axis. Okay. So one more thing I need to add is, what if the vertex is not at the origin, like is at a point this? So what this means is that the vertex has shifted forward. So just like in parabola, we do similar stuff. So what happened to the focus? So your focus will now move to plus h. You just have to add that coordinate to your focus, also to your directrix, which is x, which is a plus a over e before. Just have to add the h to it. And what else do I need to do? Then your equation will be x minus h squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals to 1. So this will just be your equation. So when you have an equation that is like this, it just means that your vertex is not at the origin and it is at this point h and k. Okay, all right, so now let's look at an example. Okay, so we have these 3 questions and then we are asked to find the focus and the directrix. So if you look at question 1, so be observant. You see that the bigger one, look at the denominator, you see that 16 is bigger than 9, so it means that your a squared is 16. So let's look at question 1 now. So with that, it shows that it follows this pattern. Y squared over b squared equals 1. And what is the focus? And it's also the vertex at the origin. The focus is giving us this, and then the directrix is giving us what? S equals plus e a over e. Okay, so we need our e and our e. Okay, so a squared is equals to 16. It means that a is equals to square root of 16, which is 8. It is actually plus or minus 8 though. And what else? We need our e. So we know b squared is equals to a squared into 1 minus e squared. Right? So b squared is 9. So we have 9. A squared is 16. Okay, divide through by 16, get 9 over 16 equals to 1 minus z squared. Okay, so if you take e squared to this side and bring in the 9 over 16, this is what you get. Look for LCM. 16 minus 9, what would that give you? -9 should give you 7 over 16. So our e is equals to the square root of 7 over 16, which is with 7 over 4. Okay, so that is your e. So we are looking for e, yeah. So what will now be your focus? Focus is plus minus ae comma 0, right? So now what is a? A is 8. What is e? Root 7 over 4 comma 0. So that will just give us plus or minus 2 root 7 comma 0. What about our directrix? So our directrix is s equals to plus or minus a over e. So what is a? A is so we can also rewrite this as this. Very important. Anyhow, what is a? A is 8. What is e? E is root 7 over 4. So the inverse is 4 over root 7. So that gives us plus or minus 32 over root 7. If you rationalize, that gives you root 7 over 7. So that becomes your directrix. Okay, so we are done with that question. So the second question say that is also the same, just that the 16 is now on the y-axis and the 9 is now on the x-axis. So I'm saying question 2 is x squared over 9 plus y squared over 16 equals 1. So in this case, what happens? So you could see that the a squared has shifted to this other side. So this is how our equation is now looking like, over a squared equals 1. And I told us that the focus in this case will be this, and the directrix will be what? To shift to the y-axis, and it still remains the same. So we don't really need to solve, since we've done question 1. We just have to put all our answer on the y-axis. So that is what happens. And then the directrix will be y equals plus or minus 32 root 7 over 7. So that is all. Then for the last example, 4x squared, you have 4x squared over 9, is it 9 over 25 plus 4y squared over 9 equals 1. 6 over 9 equals 1. Okay, so what do? We need our a, we need our b. So if you pick a to be for 25 and pick b to be 9, you've already missed it. Formula say a squared over y squared, a squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. There's something you should observe. The coefficient of all these guys are 1 for a reason. There should be 1. So we need to get rid of this 4, and this is how you do that. 25 over 4 plus y squared over 9 over 4 equals 1. Okay, why is this correct? If I have a over b, is the same thing as 1 over b over a. It's the same. So it is correct. So that is what they want you to do at first. So a squared is 25 over 4, while b squared is 9 over 4. We are looking for e, so we use this formula 1 minus e squared. Okay, so a squared is, so Okay, let me just say this. So b squared is 9 over 4, a squared is 25 over 4, and 1 minus e squared, which is what we are looking for. So what do we do? Can cross multiply, get 9 times 4 equals 25 times 4, 1 minus e squared. You divide by 25 over 4, 9 times 4 over 25 times 4 equals 1 minus e squared. Okay, this cancel this, 9 over 25 equals 1 minus e squared. E squared is equals to 1 minus 9 over 25. You get 25 minus 9 over 25. That is 16 over 25. E squared. E is equals to 4 over 5. So this is E. So I think we are ready to find our focus, which is plus and minus E, comma 0. Our E is 5. You know we have A squared is equals to 25. So A is 5. And our E is 4 over 5, comma 0. So that will give you 4, comma 0. Okay, then our directrix will be on the x-axis also, plus and minus a over e. So you get a is 5, e is 4 over 5. So that is plus and minus 5 times 4 over 5. Sorry, 5 over 4. So yeah, so if you want to change that division to times, you take the inverse, so that becomes 5 over 4, and this becomes 25 over 4. So this is your directrix. Okay, so we are done with that problem. Let's look at this last example. All right, so if you look at this problem, we are given the eccentricity and we are given the focus, then we are asked to get the equation. So we are given E to be 4 over 5, and then we are also given focus, which is 0 plus and minus 4. So I want you to observe that this focus is on the y-axis. So it means that our equation is now, the major axis is on the y-axis. And this also, the vertex is at the origin. I've told us we have a single focus and then they just say plus and minus 4. They didn't split them. So it means that we have a single we have the vertex at the origin, even the x-axis is 0. Okay, so with that being said, our equation will be of this form: equals 1, and our focus formula in this case is plus and minus AE. Okay, plus and minus AE. So what are we looking for? The equation. And you know b squared is equals to a squared into 1 minus e squared. So we have E, we need A, we need B. How do we get A? So remember the focus was given to be 4 and the formula say focus is AE. So just say 4 is equals to AE. What is E? 4 over 5. 4 can cancel 4. This gives you 1. 1 is here. So A is equal to, if you cross multiply, A is equal to 5. Okay. So now what is B? So it will be 5 squared into 1 minus E. E is 4 over 5 all squared. So you get 25 equals to 1 minus 16 over 25. So what do you get? You get 25 into 25 minus 16 over 25. That gives you 25. Okay, 25 can cancel 25. Be left with 25 minus 16 gives you 9. So what that means is B is equals to the square root of 9, which is 3. Well, we don't really need B, we just need B squared. So at the end of the day, we have x squared over 9 plus y squared over 25 is equal to 1. And this is the equation that they asked us to find. So this is the equation they asked us to find. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. So you can also, if you have any question, you can drop it on the comment section. I will check it and then reply to you. Okay.